Thank you. Can we now begin, guys? Guys, can we now begin? Can we now continue? Sagot, guys. Can we now begin or continue, guys? Miss Bulaon, pwede na tayo magsimula. Mr. Karandang. Okay. Okay, 25 participants, 26. Actually, 26 kasama ko, right? Now, let's now move on to section 427. So, this is in relation to section 424. Now, after examination, the examiner shall make the necessary findings as to what has been declared and what has been found in the physical examination. But before I proceed with the next section, 424 and 427, before I correlate it, okay, I would like, or I would be asking you one more question regarding 421. The duties of a customs officer tasked to examine goods. Look at this, class. Miss Bulahon, ano mga to? What is this? Eraser. Whiteboard eraser, right? Assuming this whiteboard eraser is a package. It is a package or a container which is to be examined by the assigned customs officer or examiner. Okay, if it is intrusive examination, it has to be open, right? Intrusive po eh. Tama po ba? Sir Karandang, if it is to be physically or intrusively examined, if this whiteboard eraser is the package or container containing the goods to be examined, it has to be examined or it has to be open. Now, in the examination or in the physical examination of this package, something is to be compared by the examiner for him to make the necessary examiner's return or examiner's report. Mr. Karandang, Ms. Bulaon, assuming you were the assigned customs examiner, and I am the representative of the importer, I am the customs broker representing the importer. So general rule in the conduct of the intrusive or physical examination, I should be present, right? I should be present. Or for valid reason, for justifiable reason, the examination can proceed even though there is no representative of the importer. Clear, class? Maliwanag po ba? Question, Ms. Bulaon and Mr. Karandang, you were the examiner. And you have opened this package or container. Now, opening it, you will see what is contained, right? Malalaman ninyo kung ano ang laman. Tama? Now, in the examination of goods contained in this package or container, what documents should be in your hand to compare the contents of this and the documents in your hand, whether the declared one and what is contained and what is the finding are identical. Ano yung hawak mong dokumento, Mr. Karandang, Ms. Bulaon? Number one po, no. Tama po yung goods declaration. So when you are the examiner and you have already opened it, you have to check whether what is declared is the same thing that you have found out or you have seen inside this package or container. So number one documents that the customs examiner must have in his hand is number one, the goods declaration, because the goods declaration is as what has been declared. Okay, number two, commercial invoice, bill of lading, and packing list. So those are the four basic documents that needs to be in the possession or in hand or on hand by the customs examiner when conducting the physical examination. So kung hawak mo po, okay, assuming this is the documents that I am referring to, it consists of goods declaration, bill of lading, airway bill, and commercial invoice and packing list. Paglalabanin mo ngayon yung dalawa. Buksan mo ito, then check it whether what has been declared here is also the same that you have found. Klaro po, guys? Klaro po? Yes. What are those that you have to compare and establish that what is contained in the documents are also the same thing that you have found in the examination? Of course, the description of the goods. Pag sabi po dito, ito ang laman, that goods should be found in the package. Right, Mr. Karandang? Okay. Now, as to description, kung sabi mo dito, second hand, dapat ang makita mo rin dito sa package is also a second hand item. Did you get it? Did you get it? Pag ang sabi mo dito, 3 second hand machineries, let's say welding machine, ang sabi dito 3, ilan dapat makita mo dito? 3 rin. Ganun po ang examination. As to the description of the goods described in the goods declaration must be identical to what has been found out by the examiner. Now, insofar as quantity is concerned, then If what has been declared in the goods declaration, bill of lading commerce, says 3 pieces, then 3 pieces din po ang laman. Did you get it? Did you get it? Okay. So therefore, kailangan kung ano yung nakalagay dito sa dokumento, dapat yun din na makita. Hindi pa pwedeng magkaiba. Otherwise, there would be problem. Klaro, guys? Kaya, the rule with respect to examination of goods, the customs officer tasked to examine should have in his hands documents. And, of course, the opening of the package or container to be examined and make the necessary comparison. If all are in order, meaning, kung ano yung nakalagay dito, yun din po nakita. Then, under 421, the customs officer must make a report, findings, or return as to what have been examined and what has been declared in the goods declaration. After that goods declaration, lalagyan po ng, nasa likod po yung area na yon, nalalagyan ng findings ni examiner. After examination has been conducted and the examiner found out that everything as to description of the goods, as to quantity of the goods, the marking of the goods, are the same, no problem, then customs examiner must make a report at the back of the goods declaration. Gagawa po siya ng report. Then after making the report, pipirmahan niya po yon. And that signature of the examiner will prove that he or she really conducted the physical examination. After that, it shall be forwarded now to section 424. The customs appraiser po. Yung customs appraiser po, ang hawak-hawak niya lang po is the goods declaration. Attach BL or airway bill, commercial invoice, and packing list that came from the customs examiner. So galing po sa kanya. Yung physical po, nasa 421, but the assessment, classification, and computation of duties and taxes will now be under Section 424. Kung tama po yung examination, wala pong problema. That would be the time that the customs appraiser or officer will now make the classification, appraisal, and computation of duties and taxes based from what the customs examiner has found. Maliwanag po, guys. Maliwanag po. So, may hawak na pong ballpen at calculator si customs appraiser. Then, after the customs appraiser, okay, has computed the correct duties and taxes as declared and as found by the appraiser. They are the same, pares na pares po. Kung magkano po yung dineklaran dapat bayaran, that was also the findings of the customs appraiser. After the customs appraiser has found it, everything is in order as to duties and taxes as the other charges as declared, and the same with his or her computation, then no problem po. Tama po ba? Yan po yon. Then afterwards, gagawa na naman po si appraiser ng return. Dun sa likod din po, katabi po siya nung customs examiner. Pipirmahan niya rin po, okay, to certify that the customs appraiser under 424 has conducted the necessary appraisal, classification, and computation of duties and taxes. Pipirmahan niya po yun, na tama lahat, as declared, as found, pares lang po. After that, it shall be submitted to the chief of the formal entry division for approval. Okay? And the formal entry, the chief of the formal entry division is representing the district collector of customs. So, ibig sabihin po niyan, pagka po pinirmahan ni appraiser yan at dinala po sa chief ng formal entry division at pinirmahan din po ng chief ng formal entry division, it is deemed that the appraisal classification made by the customs appraiser and as approved by the chief of the formal entry division is also deemed an approval by the district collector. Pag inaprubahan ni appraiser at pinirmahan ng chief ng formal entry division, the signature of the chief of the formal entry division is deemed an approval by the district collector. Okay? So, pag pirmado na ni chief ng formal entry, it is deemed approved by the district then. Now, 427 provides for readjustment. The readjustment here means what? The recomputation po. Recomputation of the duties, taxes, and other charges because there is an error. There is something wrong with what has been approved or finally passed upon by the district. Yung sabihin, maaring po yung adjustment, kadalasan po ng adjustment is to go up. Pataas po. Pakibasa nga yung first part ng section 427, Miss Bulaon. Except, okay, sandali lang po, no? So, sabi ko nga po sa inyo, from customs examiner, pupunta ng customs appraiser. Pagkatapos po ng customs appraiser, pupunta po siya ng chief ng formal entry division. Then, the approval of the customs or the chief of the formal entry division is deemed an approval by the district. Now, in case the district collector of customs through the chief of the formal entry division has approved it or finally passed it or has been modified, binago po yung findings ng customs appraiser po. Once it has been finally passed and approved by the district collector of customs, whether there has been changes or there has been no changes, that approval by the district collector of customs through the chief of the formal entry division shall no longer be changed or modified or altered. Hindi na pwedeng baguhin kasi aprobado na po ni district. That's the general rule only. In other words, class, once it has been finally passed or approved by the district collector of customs, again through the chief of the formal entry division, whether there has been change or there has been no change in the findings of the customs appraiser, it shall no longer be changed, altered, or modified. Hindi na pwedeng baguhin. That is only a general rule. The following are the instances, okay, when the approved classification, valuation, computation, and return can be changed even though it is already approved. Number 1, Ms. Bulaon. Okay, so therefore, class, that approved goods declaration as to classification and appraisal, as a general rule, cannot be changed or modified anymore. However, it allows some exception. Number 1, within 1 year, pwede pang baguhin uli yun. In other words, class, if the duties and taxes has been finally paid today, ngayon po, ano po ngayon? January 18 po. Tama po ba? Under number 1 of the exception, it can be changed, it can be modified, by whom? By the District Collector of Customs who also approves it before. Hindi nyo to, no? Inaprobahan mo, tapos ngayon babaguhin mo. Did you get it? Right? Now, what's the reason why the District Collector of Customs within 1 year from date of final payment of duties, taxes, and other charges, there was what? An error. Hindi po nila napansin. And it was only found out within the 1 year period. So, within the 1 year period, ang inaprobahan po ni District Collector of Customs is 1.2 million duties, taxes, and other charges. However, later on, there was an error discovered by the District Collector of Customs. So therefore, kung may error, dapat pong i-correct. From 1.2, naging 1.3. Is that allowed? Sasabihin ni importer, teka mo na, approve mo na yan, tapos babaguhin mo. We have discovered an error. But prior, the District Collector of Customs may modify or alter a goods declaration which he or she has already approved. The District Collector of Customs should submit a statement of error. Ibig sabihin, yung error po na-discovered or it was discovered only after payment. Hindi po na-discover yung error before payment. Kasi po kung if the error has been discovered before payment, then may adjust na. But it was discovered after payment. Tama. Tama ba, Mr. Karandang? Kung ang nabayaran 1.2, but later on it was discovered that there was an error. 1.3 dapat ang bayaran. So ngayon, i-adjust ni district. From 1.2, 1.3 ang dapat bayaran. Tama po. After payment. So hahabulin ngayon si importer ng deficiency or adjustment of 100,000 pesos. But if the error has been discovered prior payment, though, 1.2, ang approved ni appraiser, okay, in-adjust, binago, 1.3. So, therefore, hindi na magagamit yung number 1 kasi prior payment, it was or the error has been discovered. Hindi na kailangan mag-adjust. Ito nangyari dito, after payment po, saka lang po na-discover yung error. Error as to computation, error as to appraisal, or error as to classification po. Another instance wherein the approved appraisal or classification or return may be changed or altered by the district. Number 2, please read. Yes. O, tingnan mo sa number 1. Sino ang nag-modify? It is the District Collector of Customs. Kailan po? Within 1 year from date of final payment. In number 2, it is also the District Collector of Customs who is now requesting for reappraisal or reclassification because the District Collector of Customs feels that the appraisal or classification is too low. Di ba parang nakakatawa to, Mr. Karandang? Nakakatawa kasi muna na number 2, sabi mo, okay na to, inaprubahan mo na under the first paragraph. Ngayon, parang nag-second opinion ka. And in your second opinion, parang mababa po yata yung nakolekta natin dito, sabi ni district. Now, how do you apply or how does modification or alteration as approved by the district may be affected? Number one, the District Collector of Customs can ask a request for a reappraisal or reclassification addressed to the Commissioner of Customs. Now, Ms. Luna, if you were the Commissioner of Customs and you received a letter request from District Collector Karandang, and Karandang is asking for appraisal or classification, how would you feel? How would you characterize this, or how would you feel? How would you feel about District Collector Karandang? Would you feel that District Collector Karandang competent or incompetent? Kasi po, sa akin po, kung ako si Commissioner, tapos nagre-request si District, Sir, let us reclassify or reappraise. Incompetent siya. Kasi bakit? Eh, ba't inaprobahan mo in the first place? Right, Miss Luna? Tama ba, Mr. Karandang? Dapat nung una pa lang, inayos mo na. Eh, ba't inaprobahan mo? Ngayon, nagre-request ka. Di ba? Parang this is awkward. Pero this may happen. Sasabihin ni District Collector, ano sasabihin mo, District Collector Karandang to Commissioner Luna? Anong magiging excuse mo for your incompetency? Kaya nga mababa nga, tingin mo mababa. Kaya nga nagre-request ka ng reclassification or reappraisal. Naramdaman mo, saka mo lang naramdaman, within 15 days, nung nabayaran na, saka mo naramdaman na parang mababa yata yung appraisal at saka yung classification. Now, what would be now your reason for, okay, requesting? Kung ako, bakit Mr. Karandang? Oh, bakit District Collector Karandang? Eh, you appears to be here incompetent. So, Ms. Gutierrez, ano ang sasabihin mo kay Mr. Karandang para kahit paano the Commissioner would not feel that the District Collector or District Collector Karandang is not really incompetent? Ano sasabihin mo, Ms. Gutierrez, kung ikaw, si Karandang? Sabihin ko, ano sabi mo, Miss Gutierrez? Ikaw, Miss Bulaon, ano sasabihin po? Ikaw, Miss Luna, ano sasabihin mo? Miss Luna, I'm asking you. Hindi mo alam. Tinatanong ko ba ako, Miss Bulaon, kung ano sasabihin ko? Ha? Tao lang po, nagkakamali rin po. Ganun na kasimple. Diba? Normal lang naman sa tao magkamali, diba? Tama ba? Yes po, yun po ang pwede kong gamitin. Tao lang po ako, and I usually commit error or mistake. Pero that is not good. Kung ikaw district, lagi ka nalang nagre-request under letter 2, malamang, gawin na lang kitang customs inspector. Tama, Mr. Karandang? Kasi aprobahan mo, tapos babandang una, babaguhin mo. Pangit naman yata yun. Parang walang consistency. Right, Mr. Karandang? So, parang every time na meron ka nga aprobahan, magre-request ka ng appraisal and reclassification. That is, parang that is not competence. That is incompetence. Oh, klaro? So, sasabihin ko, kung ako, Sir, sorry, Commissioner, tao lang po, nagkamali lang po. Meron lang po akong hindi napansin. Ganun lang po yan. That is, within 15 days. Kung hindi mo na kaya ng 15 days, kunin mo naman sa number 1. Did you get it, Mr. Karandang? Mr. Karandang. So, ibig sabihin, if it is already more than 15 days, then you don't apply number 2. You apply number 1, right? Number 3, Ms. Bulaon. Okay, in number 1 and number 2, it is the district collector who is asking that the approved one be altered or modified, right? Ms. Bulaon? District collector po. Tama po? But in number 3, who is asking for reappraisal and or reclassification? Sino po ang nagre-request? Yes, importer, the interested party is not satisfied or convinced with the appraisal. Let's say the declared is 1.2, declared duties and taxes to be paid is 1.2 million, but after appraisal by the customs appraiser or after classification by the appraiser, it became now 1.3. And it was approved by the district. Pumayag siya. Now, if you were the importer, Mr. Karandang, magbabayad ka ng additional. Tama ba? 100,000 pesos. Tama po ba? So, if this is already approved, from 1.2 as declared and 1.3 as found and as finally passed or approved by the district, can you question the decision of the district collector of customs? The answer is yes. Through what? Timely protest. District, mukhang mali yata yan. Ang tama po yata 1.2. It should be 1.3. So ngayon, if the interested party or the importer is questioning the approval of 1.3 by the district collector of customs, then the interested party or the importer can question it through a timely protest. So, ang mangyayari po dyan, approve yan, ibabalik uli ngayon sa customs appraiser. Paki-check mo nga talaga kung tama ba yung claim na 1.2 or tama ba yung claim natin na 1.3. So, babalik po sa customs appraiser. Did you get it? Anong gagawin ni customs appraiser pag binalik sa kanya ni district? Because there is a timely protest filed by the importer addressed to the district collector of customs. Po, once the district collector of customs receives the timely protest, then district collector of customs will order now the customs appraiser to make the necessary reappraisal and reclassification. Ibig sabihin po niyan, baka naman tama si importer or mali tayo. Or baka naman mali si importer, sagutin natin yung protesta niya at baka tayo ang tama. Kaya babalik po kay customs appraiser and babalik din po sa chief ng formal entry division. Did you get it? Did you get it? So pagka hindi po kumbinsido si importer as interested party regarding the approved classification and appraisal, tumaas po ang babayaran ni importer, pwede po magprotesta si importer. Tapos po, pag nagprotesta, address po kay DC, si DC naman po orderan yung chief ng formal entry division at yung appraiser, okay, reclassify and reappraise. Baka po tama yung request. Number 4, or letter D, Miss Luna. Okay, in 1 and 2, it is the district collector who is altering it or who is modifying it. the classification and or appraisal. Inaprobahan niya pero the district wants reappraisal and reclassification. Di ba? Medyo parang sagwa, no? Okay lang yung number 1 kasi may mali talaga. But in number 3, it is not the district collector of customs, but it is the importer who is not satisfied with the approved increase in the classification or appraisal. In number 4, it is not the district or the importer, it is the commissioner of customs who is ordering or demanding, okay, that there should be a reclassification or reappraisal even though it has been approved by the district. Sabi ni commissioner, mukhang mali si district. Okay? And this can be done after the completion of the compliance audit. Ibig sabihin yan, 3 years po ang audit, pero pwede pa rin po na baguhin ni commissioner. Kahit aprobado na di district yan, pwede pang baguhin ni commissioner under number 4 po. Maliwanag guys? So far, is there any question? 1. Instance wherein the classification or appraisal finally passed or approved may be altered or modified. Number 1, within 1 year. Number 2, within 1 year after final payment. Number 2, within 15 days after payment din po ng duties and taxes. Number 3, upon request by the interested party, okay, addressed to the district collector of customs. Number 4, upon demand. Sabi ni district, sabi ni commissioner, district, mali ang classification at or appraisal mo. Okay? Maliwanag. Those are the instances within 15 days or within 1 year, within 15 days, upon written request from the interested party, importer, or upon demand by the Commissioner of Customs. Let's now move on to 428 po. Ms. Garcia, 428 please. Okay, let me explain that one by one. What is entered value? Entered value means what? What has been declared. And this entered value may be either X work value, okay, FOB value, CFR value, or CIF value, or even dutiable value. Now, what is the rule regarding entered value or dutiable value? Look at the board, please. And you see the board. Ms. Dizon, Madriaga, nakikita niyo itong board. Walang sumasagot sa akin. Gutierrez, can you see the board? How much is the entered value or dutiable value as entered? It is $15,000 US. Now, what is the rule regarding computation of customs duty? If the entered value is 15,000, then that 15,000 shall be used by the BOC in computing the CUD. That is the general rule. What is the exception? When the Commissioner of Customs directed the customs appraiser to compute the duties and taxes based on a lower than 15,000. Now, before the Commissioner of Customs can do that, there must be an investigation. So, therefore, ang entered value is 15, but under that particular provision, the Commissioner of Customs directed the formal entry division to compute the duties and taxes based on 14,000. Kasi ang bureau, ang gusto nila 15. Kaya lang, si commissioner nag-order. Oh, Mr. District Collector, Mr. Chief ng Formal Entry Division, you should compute the duties and taxes not based on 15, although it has been entered by the importer. It should be computed based on 14. So, Ms. Bulaon, pag 15, mas malaki makukolekta ng BOC, right? Ms. Bulaon, pagka po ibinaba from 15 to 14, bababa po ang makukolekta ng BOC, right, Ms. Bulaon? Now, when may the Commissioner of Customs order the district or the formal entry division to compute it based on value lower than the entered value? From this, ito gagamitin, sabi ni Commissioner. Now, the Commissioner shall order only this computation of duties and taxes based on an amount lower than the entered value or declared value when the importer certifies that at the time of the goods declaration or the time of entry, that entered value, o sino magsa-certify? The importer po. Isa-certify ni importer that at the time that the entered value has been declared, mas mataas po yung 15 kaysa 14. Ibig sabihin po niyan, the importer shall certify before the commissioner that what they have entered of $15,000 is higher than the actual value. Mali po si importer, nagkamali naman po si importer. Or, the importer certifies in writing that the reason why they declared 15,000 instead of 14, because when they have declared 14, the appraiser has increased the value to 15. O, ibig sabihin yan, napersa lang po si importer po. Did you get it? Yan po yung isa-certify. Pag wala pong certification as to what happened really, or what really happened, okay, kasi po si importer po, Mr. Importer, hindi pa pwedeng 14, dapat 15. Pero alam ni importer, 14 lang po dapat. So when there is a situation like that, or if the importer can prove that 15 is not the correct entered value or dutiable value, however, it should be 14. Kaya lang po ginawang 15 importer is only to meet the demand made by the customs appraiser. So, sabihin, kaya po namin in-adjust po ng 15 yan, pero sa totoo lang po, 14 lang. Kaya po namin ginawang 15 because the appraiser is demanding it to increase it from 14 to 15. As long the importer can certify that at the time of entry, it should not be 15, but it should be 14. And the increase from 14 to 15 was by reason of the demand made by the customs appraiser. Itinaas ni customs appraiser. Labag sa loob ko. Kaya lang po, yung importer, ako importer, labag po sa loob ko yung pagiging 15, dapat 14 lang po. I-certify niya ni importer. Now, that would be the time that the commissioner may direct the district. Oh, kaya naman pala 15 yan eh. Pinwersa nyo si importer eh. Instead of 14 lang, 15 ang ipinadeklara mo dahil pinwersa ni appraiser si importer. Did you get it? Now, in case there would be a case regarding which value is to be declared, so gagamitin muna itong 15. Question, napunta po sa BCRC because the importer wants it 14 and the Bureau Custom or the Customs Officer wants it 15. So second instance po na ibababa po from 15 as entered value, ang gagamitin po is 14 po. Dumating po ng BCRC, sabi ng BCRC, the correct value to be used in the computation of duties and taxes is not 15 but 14 po. O, ngayon po, the assessment of the duties and taxes shall be made lower or shall be based lower than the entered value. Kasi nagdesisyon po si BCRC. Eh. Yung unang instance po, kaya po napersa or kaya po ginamit yung 15 as entered value because it was demanded by customs appraiser. Second instance po, there was an issue between the appraiser and the importer. Ang gusto ni appraiser, 15. Ang gusto naman importer, 14. Dinala ngayon sa BCRC. The BCRC decided in favor of the importer. That would be the time, again, that the assessment of duty shall be made lower than the entered value. Tama po si importer. Instead of 15, it should be 14. Decided na po ng BCRC. Okay? Whenever that the importer certifies in writing that the correct dutiable value or entered value should be 14, he or she must do it in good faith. Hindi po pwedeng lukuhan dito kasi we're talking here of duties and taxes. Okay? And the importer, after due diligence and inquiry, he or she can really prove that this is not the correct entered value, but this one, the 14,000 po. Ibig sabihin po niyan, as long the importer can submit evidence or proof, or evidence, or pieces of evidence to prove that 15,000 as entered value and as demanded by the appraiser is wrong, magsasubmit po siya ng dokumento para po makonvince niya si Commissioner of Customs that the computation of duties and taxes should be based on 14, not 15K. Yan po ang sinasabi sa section 428 po. Okay? Next please. 429. Miss Gutierrez, you. Miss Gutierrez, you. Miss Gutierrez. Yes. 429, final assessment. When does a final assessment becomes final? Or when does assessment becomes final? After 15 days, oh, yan. Assuming nag-lodge ka ng goods declaration ngayon and the duties and taxes as assessed is, let's say, 200K thousand. And a final or assessment notice has been sent via electronic message to the importer. Okay? 200K po ang findings ng Bureau of Customs. So, kailan mo natanggap, Ms. Gutierrez? Ngayon po. Plus 15 days, starting po bukas, January 19 plus 15 days, After 15 days po, it becomes final. What does it mean? You as the importer can no longer question it. Kasi po, kung questionin mo yan, dapat po within the 15 days from receipt of the notice of assessment. After 15 days, on the 16th day, you can no longer question that. Kasi po, binibigyan ka ng 15 days to question the assessment as made by the Bureau of Customs. Now, in Section 429, hanggang kailan yung 15 days, Miss Bulaon? Kung nyari, ngayon natanggap yung notice of final assessment, hanggang kailan? May 31 ba tayo? Pakibilang nga, Mr. Karandang. So, 31, 19, 19. Ngayon, 18. 19, ilan? 19 to 31, ilang days? 12 days ba yon? 12 days ba yon? February, 15 days na yon. February 3, the importer can no longer question it. February 3, hindi mo pa rin nababayaran yung duties and taxes kasi yung 15 days hanggang February 2 lang ba? Tama ba yon? Okay, 19. Tama ba? Tama ba yung computation? Mr. Karandang, Miss Bulaon. Tama, no? February 3, it's already the 16th day. Tama, Mr. Karandang? Hindi mo pa nababayaran yung duties and taxes amounting to 200,000. Yung 200,000, pwede mong question hanggang February 2. After 2, 3 na po, you can no longer question it because it has already become final. Tama po ba? Yan po ang ibig sabihin nun. Now, what is the other effect of February 3? Okay, the 20% interest on this begins to run. Did you get it? Okay, maliwanag po. Yan, tingnan nyo po yung note ng author. The intent of Section 429 is to determine the point in time when the imposition of interest on unpaid duties and taxes commence. Ayan po. After February 2, so yung 15 days po, wala pa siyang interest. After February 2, 16th day, okay, then the interest of 20% per annum for unpaid duties and taxes becomes or will start to run. So, kung 200K po, nabayaran mo siya after February 3, bibilangin po kung ilang buwan or ilang araw po. Magkano po ang interest? 20% per annum po. Imagine, ha? Mabayaran mo duties and taxes, 200,000 pesos. Let's say, isang buwan. So, 20% per annum. So, magkano yun? 20% divide by 12, yan po ang magiging interest monthly po. So, kung isang buwan bago mo nabayaran, babayad ka ng 1 month interest based on 200K. Yan po ang ibig sabihin ng 429. Next, please. 430. Miss Bulaon, you. Okay. Assuming the amount of duties and taxes as declared and as assessed is 350,000 pesos. And it was paid on, finally paid, binayaran na po, kumpleto po. Okay? It was finally assessed, or there is a final assessment, and okay, it was paid, let's say, binayaran po ngayong January 18, 2021. Bilang ka ng 3 years, 118, hanggang 2024. 3 years po ba yan, Miss Bulaon? So, if the payment was made today, so starting po niyan, 19 at hanggang 2021 up to 2024, that is 3 years. The word period of limitation means within the 3 years period, the Bureau of Customs can go after the importer who has paid this 350. Bakit kinahabol ng Bureau of Customs kaya, Mr. Karandang? Yes, nabayaran mo na yung duties and taxes, and the amount of duties and taxes as declared and as assessed is 350. Bakit kayo nahabol within 3 years? Kasi po, kulang yung nabayaran mo. But if it is already more than 3 years, let's say, lumagpas na po ng isang araw, 3 years po. Let's say, 1/20/2024, can the Bureau still go after the importer? No, because the 3 years has already expired. Did you get it? Kung maghahabol ang BOC dahil kulang yung 350, okay, then the BOC should do it within the 3 years period from date of final payment. If it is done after the 3 years, then that can no longer be done because of the period of limitation. 3 years lang po ang binibigay sa BOC to go after additional duties and taxes. So kung dapat ang bayaran niya 370 pero nabayaran niya 350, meaning the BOC can still go after the 20,000 pesos within 3 years. But after 3 years, by BOC, you can no longer go after the importer because the losses, the BOC can only go after and collect the remaining 20 within the 3 years period. And that is the so-called period of limitation. After the 3 years, so hindi na pwedeng habulin ng BOC si importer. Ngayon, kung ang nabayaran naman niya is 350, yung pala, ang dapat bayaran niya is 330 lang, sumobra siya ng 20. After 3 years po, hindi na rin po pwedeng maghabol si importers kay Bureau of Customs. Did you get it? Did you get it? Kasi po, after 3 years, okay, it becomes what? Okay, conclusive upon all parties. Ibig sabihin yung parties dito, the BOC going after the importer for, okay, additional. The importer going after the BOC for overpayment. Dalawa po ang pwedeng maging kaso dito. Okay, payment, underpayment, or overpayment. If it is underpayment, the BOC goes after the importer. If it is overpayment, the importer goes after the BOC. Did you get it, guys? Mr. Karandang, do you have any question? Okay, Mr. Almete, do you have any question? So therefore, whether it is underpayment or overpayment, it should be done or to go after that underpayment or overpayment, it should be made within the period of limitation. And that period of limitation is 3 years from date of final payment. Okay, so ganito. 350 po ang dapat bayaran. Okay? So remember always that 350 paid as final. So kung ang binayaran po, ang kinumpit po is 350, ang binayaran po muna ngayon is 300,000 because of their question, ang binayaran 300K. Eh lumalabas pala, dapat po bayaran 350. Tama po ba? Okay, binayaran nito, let's say, December 5. Yung 300K. At yung 50 po, binayaran ng January 2. Mr. Karandang, what is now the reckoning point of the 3 years? Is it December 5 or January 2? So, the amount of duties and taxes to be paid is 350. Kita ba? However, on December 5, the importer paid only 300,000. December 5, 2020. And on January 2, the importer finally paid the balance of 50. So all in all, 350. Kaya lang po, yung una, binayaran niya ng 300K, yung isa po, 50,000, January 2. Now, what is now the reckoning point of the 3 years period of limitation? Or when do you count the 3 years period? Is it from January 5 or January 2 po? Yes, because January 2 was the date when the final payment was made. So, hindi po January 5, January 2 po. Okay? Maliwanag po, ibig sabihin po niyan, kung partial payment is December 5 and full payment is January 2, the 3 years shall not be counted from December 5. Instead, it shall be counted from January 2. Bilang ka po ng January 2, 2021 hanggang January 2, 2024. Maliwanag, 2024 po. Kung January 2, 2020, 3 years po. Hindi po dito, sa December. Klaro, guys? But if the payment was made on December 5, 350, wala pong binayaran sa January 2, sabihin, full payment kagad, 350, December 5, ang bilang po ng 3 years, that date, December 5. Did you get it? Klaro, guys? Okay, next please, 431. Carly Guzman, 431. Miss Luna, what's the rule regarding number 1? Paragraph 1, Miss Luna. Miss Luna. Mr. Karandang, you. What is the rule regarding paragraph 1? So therefore, what is the rule? No payment. No payment. Yes, that's it. Simple as that. The BOC will never release the goods to the importer unless the importer has already paid or secured to pay the duties and taxes and other charges po. In other words, very basic po ang rule. No payment, no release. That's the rule, Miss Luna, that I am referring to. Did you get it, Miss Luna? Mr. Karandang? Very basic po. Guys, mahirap po ito subject natin. Kaya po, kung pwede, ayusin ninyo po yung mga connection ninyo. Otherwise, mahirapan po kayo intindihin ng nile-lecture ko. Now, again, let me ask you, when does goods or sample of goods is submitted for, okay, laboratory analysis. When the goods sample or when the goods imported, and after taking sample of the goods imported, the goods sample is submitted for or to or for customs laboratory analysis when the goods is difficult to classify and when the goods is, okay, difficult to appraise. So, anong mangyayari? Pagka wala pa pong resulta yung laboratory analysis, could there be a final assessment of duties and taxes? Wala pa po. Kasi po, the final assessment of duties and taxes will depend upon the result of the laboratory analysis. Naintindihan nyo, Mr. Karandang, Ms. Bulaon, Ms. Luna? In other words, class, when the customs examiner asks for laboratory analysis of a particular item, then the item sample shall be submitted to the customs laboratory for analysis in order to determine the correct classification or to determine the correct value. While it is pending with the, or while there is no result yet, the importer cannot release it, cannot withdraw the goods in question. Aantayin muna yung resulta ng laboratory analysis to find out what is the correct tariff classification and what is the correct value of the goods. Yan po ang epekto ng goods when goods are subjected to laboratory analysis. Now, while pending it, let's say kung yung laboratory analysis po magtatagal po ng 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So therefore, pagka inabot po ng 2 weeks or 3 weeks, magkakaroon po ng delay sa release. Tama, Mr. Karandang? Kasi nakapending pa sa customs lab eh. And when there is a delay in the release, there would be additional or incidental charges to be shouldered by the importer, such as storage charges po. Tama po ba? Now, to avoid the delay in the release and to avoid payment of storage charges, the importer may ask the release of the goods, although the goods is still under laboratory analysis. Ano po ang gagawin ni importer? Opo, ang mangyayari po dyan is, okay, we will allow you or we will allow the release, however, although pending pa sa customs lab, but you have to pause a ban. Okay? Maliwanag po? Maliwanag po? So, pwede ka lumabas, pero mag-pause ka ng ban. And, of course, that ban or security shall be equivalent to what the BOC thinks of the correct duties and taxes. Kung magkano man yung dapat na duties and taxes based on their suspicion or based on their computation, yun po yung magiging amount ng ban. Okay, next please, 432. Cheres, si Miss Maxino, 432 please. Teka muna, hindi ko maintindihan yan. Miss Bulaon, you. So what is the rule under 1431, Mr. Okay, Mr. Karandang? Okay, and this is BL, let's say assuming this is a BL. Under 432, no surrender of the bill of lading, okay, to the shipping line, and the shipping line replaces the bill of lading with a delivery order. So, from bill of lading, nag-submit po si broker ng bill of lading. Yes? Go ahead. Yes? Ayan po. Ito po. Bill of lading has been surrendered by the importer to the shipping line, and the shipping line issued a delivery order. Meaning, if there is already delivery order and that delivery order is in the hands of the importer through the customs broker, it is presumed that the importer has already surrendered the original bill of lading to them, to the shipping line. Ibig sabihin, nagpadala ko ng goods from Manila at ang recipient ko or ang consignee ko dito sa Pampanga, Mabalacat is Mr. Karandang. Ibig sabihin, ako po ang nagpadala at si Mr. Karandang ang consignee. At ipinadala ko sa Philippine Rabbit. Okay? Ngayon, yung Philippine Rabbit Manila, nagpadala ko ng libro papunta kay Mr. Karandang. Sa Angeles po kukunin. Tama ba, Mr. Karandang? Philippine Rabbit? Okay. When I loaded the books consigned to Mr. Karandang through the Philippine Rabbit issued to me something. Let's say, the Philippine Rabbit issued to me the original bill of lading. So ngayon, nasa kanila yung goods, ako ngayon ang may hawak ng bill of lading. But immediately, I sent the bill of lading to Mr. Karandang. Kasi po, pagdating po ng libro dito sa Angeles City, bago po i-release yun, ito po sa international shipping po ito. Bago po i-release kay Mr. Karandang, the Philippine Rabbit would be asking Mr. Karandang, okay, i-release ko to sa iyo, Mr. Karandang, since you're the consignee, but you have to surrender to me now the bill of lading sent to you by the shipper from Manila. Maliwanag po? Ganun po ang procedure sa international. Ngayon, sa atin po, sa international shipping po, the BL is surrendered to the shipping line, and the shipping line issues a delivery order kapalit po ng bill of lading. And that delivery order shall now be used by the importer through its customs broker to release the goods now from the Bureau of Customs. Intindihan nyo, ha? So, magbayad ka muna ng 431, tapos po, okay, i-surrender mo ngayon either yung bill of lading, kung walang DO, yung bill of lading ang isusurrender mo sa Bureau of Customs, which is already allowed on and endorsed by the shipping line. Or if there is a DO issued by the shipping line after the importer has surrendered the bill of lading, then, okay, the customs officer or the importer submits the DO to the customs officer concerned, then releases or release the goods to the consignee. So, ibig sabihin po niyan, pag bill of lading sinadmit mo, then that would be the time the customs officer would allow the release. Of course, bayad na yung duties and taxes under 431. But if the bill of lading has been replaced by a delivery order issued by the shipping line, ito po ang sasubmit instead of this. Kasi ito, nasa shipping line, ito po ang hawak na hawak ngayon ni importer. Okay? Now, in case the customs officer who allowed the withdrawal and release of the goods to a consignee, as a general rule, let's say, ang nag-a-apply po ng delivery is Miss Bulaon. And Miss Bulaon is submitting or surrendering the original copy of the bill of lading, o kung walang DO, bill of lading ang isusurrender ni Miss Bulaon. Or kung yung bill of lading isinurrender po ni Miss Bulaon sa shipping line and it was replaced by a delivery order and the delivery order is submitted to the customs officer, then, as a general rule, if Mr. Karandang was the customs officer who allowed the release and withdrawal of the goods to Miss Bulaon, Mr. Karandang shall not be liable if it turned out later on it is not Miss Bulaon, this is the owner, it is Miss Gutierrez. Naintindihan ba? Ulitin ko, ha? As a general rule, when the customs officer allows the release and delivery of the goods to the consignee, the customs officer shall not be liable for wrongful or misdelivery, as long Miss Bulaon has surrendered either bill of lading if no DO has been issued or DO if a DO has been issued. So, kung si Mr. Karandang po ang customs officer at inirelease niya po yung goods kay Miss Bulaon and it turned out later on, it is not Miss Bulaon is the owner, it is Miss Gutierrez. Wala pong liability si Mr. Karandang for misdelivery or wrongful delivery because Mr. Karandang depended only or based the release based on the DO as presented by Miss Bulaon. Yung pala, ang totoo palang may-ari is Miss Gutierrez. So, nagkaroon po ng misdelivery. Napunta kay Miss Bulaon ngayon yung kargamento instead to Miss Gutierrez. Right? Maliwanag, Mr. Maliwanag? So, therefore, as a general rule, the customs officer who allowed the release and delivery of the goods to a particular person, and that person submitted and surrendered the bill of lading or the delivery order, yung pong customs officer na yun, hindi siya po nagiging liable. But if Mr. Karandang, who was the customs officer, who allowed the delivery, okay, to Miss Bulaon, and before he allowed the delivery, Mr. Karandang already noticed that there was irregularity in the delivery order. Alam mo na merong, kumbaga, kung ang delivery order po is this one, nakalagay po dyan kung kanino i-deliver. Kaya po delivery order. Assuming ang nakalagay dito is Gutierrez, ang ginawa ni Miss Bulaon to make it appear that Miss Bulaon is the person to whom the goods is to be delivered, pinalitan niya yung pangalan. Anong ginawa niya? Yung Gutierrez po, tinakpan niya ng Bulaon. At yung papel na yon, delivery order, it was surrendered by Miss Bulaon to Mr. Karandang. Ito naman si Mr. Karandang, nakita niya na, bakit parang pinalitan niya yung pangalan? So therefore, magsususpecha ka ba, Mr. Karandang, kung ikaw, para bang binura, pinalitan yung Gutierrez, instead, pinalitan ng Bulaon. Tama ba? Nakita mo ngayon. Kung nakita mo, napansin mo na, and yet you allowed the delivery, then that would be the time that the customs officer would be held liable. But if Mr. Karandang, the customs officer, have not noticed the irregularity, kahit na na-deliver kay Miss Bulaon yan, instead para kay Miss Gutierrez, hindi naman alam ni Mr. Karandang na nagkaroon pala ng irregularity doon sa delivery order or bill of lading, then Mr. Karandang, the customs officer, would not be liable. But if Mr. Karandang knew already or discovered the irregularity before delivery, and yet he allowed the delivery in spite of the discovery of the irregularity, that would be the time that Mr. Karandang would be liable po. Maliwanag po? Maliwanag? Mr. Karandang, Mr. Almete. Kung alam mo na mayroong problema po doon sa DO at napalitan po yung pangalan, then, as a customs officer, you should not allow the delivery because you already found out and discovered the irregularity. Huwag mo pababayaang makalabas yan kasi po, may problema po doon sa delivery order. It has been what? Tampered po. Tawag po doon, na falsified po or tampered po yung DO. Instead na Gutierrez ang nakalagay, ang ginawa ni Miss Bulaon, pinalitan niya. And make it appear that it is Miss Bulaon, the goods should be delivered to. Pag napansin mo yun, Mr. Karandang, dapat wag mo ituloy ang delivery. Pero kung di mo napansin yun, then, hindi ka liable. Pero kung napansin mo, pinabayaan mo pa mailabas yung kargamento, that would be the time you would be liable. Mr. Almete, do you have any question? What about you, Mr. De Guzman? Okay, good. 433, 434, 435, and 436 would be continued tomorrow, and make sure that you have a copy of the de minimis, okay, de minimis value. Meron na ba akong binigay sa inyong CAO at saka CMO? Have I given you? Anong CMO? Anong CAO, Mr. Karandang? Okay, so therefore, meron po kayong binigay na ko sa inyo na kopya, no? Tama po ba? Okay, yung CMO 2-2016, tama ba? Tama ba? Parang hindi yata Oh, that is downloadable. CAO 2, anong CAO yan, Mr. Karandang? Mr. Karandang, what's CAO 2-2016 and it was? Tapos po, susunod po, may CMO, tama po ba? Ayan, downloadable yan, then you can have so, CAO 2016 and CMO 28-2016. After 433 up to 436, I lecture that. Maliwanag po? Maliwanag po? Okay, very good. And you are dismissed and see you again on Wednesday po. Okay, dismiss.